live from Rosh-Tzipor, Tel Aviv. Welcome to the GCN show!
From the Leighton Buzzard Road Cycling Club, welcome to the GCN show!
Sunrise from Auckland,
Welcome
to the GCN show!
Welcome to the GCN show.
This week we are talking about losers, and who better really to talk about that particular subject. What has been the biggest mistake made at this year's Tour de France?
That's right, it's not just losers though, we've also got winners. We announce the winners of some of our big recent competitions, and we've also going to give you the opportunity to win an entirely new bike this week. Your choice of Canyon, an Aeroad, an Ultimate or an Endurace CF SLX 8 disc.
That is very cool, isn't
Isn't
it?
it?
Plus we have, of course, all of your usual favourites, including the biggest cycling news, the best tech, plus some weird stuff as well. Now, it's right to celebrate the big winners of the Tour de France, the glorious stage winners, those brave long-range breakaways, the wearers, of course, of the Maillot Jaune. But this week, we're going to dedicate just a little bit of time to those people that we feel we have a bit more in common with, the losers. So what are the biggest mistakes of the Tour de France thus far?
Well, surely we've got to start with that naked guy that decided to run next to the riders on the final climb of Sunday stage. That was a mistake, surely.
Yeah.
It even led Simon Geschke of Team Sunweb to tweet that the thing he was most looking forward to about his second and final rest day was not seeing male ass cracks on the side of the road whilst he's riding.
Well, yeah, fair enough. That guy is definitely a prime candidate for mistake of the race. I'm imagining he's regretting it now. For me though, my vote, and this may get controversial, goes to the commissaires.
That's controversial.
It is. Now, I appreciate they do a very tough job. They make really difficult decisions in very fluid circumstances, and ordinarily, they're amazing. But let's start with the disqualification of Peter Sagan. Harsh, even if he'd done what they said he did, but then presented with, let's face it, not exactly detailed video analysis. He clearly hadn't even done what they thought he'd done in the first place. And then what makes it worse is that despite having made a bad decision, they then didn't reverse that decision. That, to me, is a mistake.
But I think they did take just a little bit of notice because they failed to disqualify Nasser Bouhanni, didn't they, from trying to punch Jack Bauer during the race, which is a risky business. I mean, we've all seen 24. We know what Bauer's capable of, don't we?
Exactly, yeah.
And then crucially, they reversed the decision to penalise Rigoberto Urán and George Bennett for taking defeat from the side of the road in the last 10k.
You know what though, I think that made it worse because it showed that they were willing to reverse decisions that were proved to be wrong. Maybe it was just because of the fact that they were then going to have to penalise more people like Bardet and things. And I'm not suggesting there's a French bias going on there. For a start, the chief com is actually Belgian, but a bit of consistency would be nice.
Yeah, I do think we should move quickly on because, as you
sorry.
rightly pointed out earlier, this is quickly going to become very controversial. So for me, a lot of the biggest mistakes have involved traction, or at least losing it. And that started, of course, on the very first day at the time trial in Dusseldorf. Alejandro Valverde making quite an uncharacteristic mistake, really, and crashing out of the race. And from what we've seen and heard, that was through no fault of his own. But can you just
No
imagine...
fault but his own, in fact.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Can you imagine though where he would be in the Tour de France right now if he hadn't have crashed out? Because the Tour route this year seemed absolutely perfect for a cyclist with his specific capabilities, particularly given that his team leader at Movistar, Nairo Quintana, is clearly faltering right now. Then of course there was that huge stage 9 crash which took Richie Porte out of the race for Team BMC. I mean, he was clearly put under pressure on a very difficult descent. Now thankfully he is on the mend now, but once again, can you imagine where Richie Porte would be sat right now if he was still in the Tour de France? He would surely be sitting pretty somewhere close to, if not at the top of the general classification.
I do tend to agree there, Dan. But so that's 3 big mistakes. Now I've got another mistake that I'd like to talk about, but I'm not going to talk about it. It's to do with the Tour. It's not a general mistake. It is Tour specific.
Otherwise we could be a long time.
We could, but I'm not going to talk about it now. I'm going to tease you and leave it till later in the show.
You going to give us a clue then?
It's not written down. As mentioned at the top of the show, this week we've got an absolutely awesome competition for you. Yes, you could possibly win an amazing Canyon bike, but you also get to choose the model as well.
That's right. How do you fancy a Canyon Aeroad CF SLX Disc 8.0.
Or perhaps you are more of an Endurace CF SLX Disc 8.0 kind of person.
Or maybe you're an ultimate CF SLX Disc 8.0 type of person.
Yeah, well, it's pretty simple, really. Whoever is the lucky person that wins this competition gets to choose whichever one they most prefer. So make sure you do enter. You will find a link to the competition in the description just below this video.
Yeah, before you go there, we've got some winners for you already. We've been leaving you
loads.
hanging, actually, for a few weeks with some of these. We've had some cracking competitions already. And so here we go. The first one, the 3 people that are going to be receiving Park Tool workstands are, thanks Matt, Lauren Horvath from Belgium, Jason Smith from Canada, and Nick E from Singapore. Congratulations to you 3.
Well done. And the person who should be waiting patiently for the postman to deliver some new DT Swiss Arc wheels is Multi Bruns from Germany. Well done, Multi.
Yeah, well done to you. We'll be in touch shortly and get that prize to you very quickly. You'll now see 10 names scrolling across the bottom of the screen, and they are the lucky winners of the Continental Force and Attack tyre set, as well as the Continental kits too. So well done to all of you.
It's now time for cycling shorts.
Believe it or not, there is a cycling world that exists outside of the Tour de France in July, although you'd be forgiven for not knowing very much about it. So let us quickly fill you in on what has been going on. Firstly, American ultra-endurance cyclist Amanda Coker has just racked up 100,000 miles.
100,000 miles! Woo!
It's remarkable, well, firstly because it's a lot, but secondly because she's done it in just 423 days, which means she's averaged 236 miles a day.
Goodness.
Every day.
That is bonkers.
Mind blowing,
And
isn't
made even more bonkers by the fact that the vast majority of that 100,000 was done on the same 10-kilometre flat circuit in Florida. Which is akin really to a hamster wheel, I think you might say.
It is pretty much.
Quite some resolve she must have. Extraordinary, brilliantly bonkers.
Yeah,
you might
absolutely
say.
brilliant, yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. Well, sorry, well, just for a brief couple of moments, we're going to go back to the Tour de France, if it's okay. Now, Lotto Soudal's Tim Wellens has abandoned the Tour de France after refusing to apply for a therapeutic use exemption, or a TUE. Now, he fell ill on stage 14 of the race and was offered some medication, but made quite a clear ethical stance by opting to stop rather than continue with a banned substance in his body.
Yeah, interesting move that, isn't it? Could have quite a long debate about that. But anyway, let's steer it away from the Tour de France, shall we? Some very good news about teams. The men's professional peloton should be getting bigger next year because there's not a new World Tour team, but a new Pro Continental team from France. Allegedly, quite a big budget, headed up by former pro Jérôme Pinault, and the sponsor is going to be Vital Concept. So they were a former co-sponsor of the Fortuneo team, and their big marquee signing, their big rider, is going to be Brian Cockart. So undoubtedly, they're going to be gunning for a spot in the Tour de France next year. Tour de France news. Yeah, fair enough.
Well, let's steer it away from the Tour and head back to the world of ultra endurance, shall we?
Yeah,
And remind you that at the end of next week, the Transcontinental race will be starting from the iconic church at the top of the Muur van Gerardsbergen in the Flanders region of Belgium. It's going to be the 5th edition of that race, and riders will be competing from Belgium all the way down to Greece, and we will certainly be dipping back into that close to the time.
Sticking with ultra endurance, our friend Mark Beaumont, of course, he's now 2 weeks into his round the world record attempt, and by the looks of things, the last week in particular has been a little bit of a challenge. Just check this out.
There's a sense in week 2, I mean, for one thing, this is not ideal cycling territory. I would not come here on holiday. I'm sure Russia's got a lot to boast for, but its trucks and its road quality make it seriously tough going. So every day's been pretty brutal on the bike. The big change into Russia in week 2 is things have just got a lot more complicated because, okay, navigation's simpler because we're not going through Europe, which is, you know, much more complicated roads. But this is the point on the journey where they've got by far the biggest team, and we've got language barriers. So we've got, you know, Russian drivers, fixers. You know, we've got 3 vehicles on the road rather than 2. So the logistics are bigger.
I guess the biggest thing this week was that Mark had a bit of a crash, unfortunately, so that wasn't too nice to see. He, just after quickly doing an exchange of clothing, he came out of the station and hit a pothole, meaning that he basically went over the handlebars and face planted. trying to slam down with his left arm, but also his head hit the ground. So
I thought I'd lost my front teeth. I thought I'd done a lot more damage than I had. But we soon realised that the elbow was actually more of a concern, because in terms of my ability to ride the bike, having an injured elbow and one with very limited, mobility was a greater concern.
in a normal scenario, we would have X-rayed or MRI scanned that elbow, but we just don't have the time. So as long as it's not affecting him being safe on the bike, then the decision was made that we would monitor it and see how it resolved. And thankfully, over 3-4 days, it's slowly improved really well.
This is a vast country, truly vast. Not a ton changes every day. The alarm goes off at 3:30 in the morning, you're on the bike at 4, and I've just needed to start thinking about it differently.
Now we're going to be sticking to the Tour de France for much of our tech this week. Many brands have been showcasing new products or prototypes there, including Duro, who look like they have an update for their Air Attack helmet, as riders from BMC and Katusha have been spotted riding it at this year's Tour. And apparently, it's going to be called the Vanquish.
Ooh, good for people with Aston Martins. Matching helmet. Nice.
And amongst other features, it includes improved ventilation and also sunglasses compatibility.
Yeah. You know what? I really like the look of that, actually. I particularly like the fact that it hasn't got one of those funny rear-facing fins that you get on a lot of aero road helmets. It's not the only new helmet at the Tour, not by a long shot. Alberto Contador and the Trek team have been using new Bontrages called the Velocis. They are much more aerodynamic, lightweight ventilated helmets. Or if you want to put it another way, then they are slightly less aero helmets that have much better ventilation and are also lighter weight.
I got you, Si, I got you.
Yeah, I'm very glad that you cleared that up for us, Si.
That's all right.
We are going to steer things slightly away from the Tour de France now, because Continental have launched their new Synapse model, which is their endurance-oriented bike. It's got quite aggressive angles for an endurance bike, so if you are someone that wants to get low and into a racing position, you could theoretically find a home on this one. And it has got increased tyre clearance as well.
Now finally, Focus have been causing just a little bit of a stir with a new Project Y series, of which we've got a glimpse for you here. Anything you think that might be noteworthy about that?
Yeah, nothing at all. Should we have another little look?
Some glimpse.
There you go. That is an e-bike, would you believe? It weighs 12 kilos and it can give you up to 400 watts of power.
Wow.
Now, just like the e-bike, the e-Giant that Matt rode in a video a couple of weeks back, this too is also obviously governed by restrictions in various different countries. That means that the motor will not contribute above 25 kilometers per hour. But therefore, any time that the gradient pitches up, you're going to be dropping Chris Froome.
Come on, Dan.
They really do look quite incredible though, don't they, for e-bikes?
Yeah, they do, yeah.
They've also got an adventure model, though goodness knows where you're going to charge that if you're out adventuring in the middle of nowhere.
Sleeping in a hedge.
And they've got a cyclocross style model as well. And in my opinion, e-bikes have just taken a giant leap forwards.
E-bikes for the future.
I like the idea of a solar charger that when you sleep at night just repowers the battery. That's a cracking idea, isn't it? Right then, Matt, can you put us out of our misery? We've been waiting half the show to find out what you think is the biggest mistake.
It's another controversial one, I'm afraid.
Is it?
It's anybody, any rider, sticking to the unwritten rules of cycling.
Really?
Yeah, now first off, let me just state this quite clearly. I am a bit of a fan of the unwritten rules of cycling. I think they're actually quite noble, but I think there have been several situations that have played out on the road of the Tour so far this year that might come back to haunt some of the riders who are occupying lofty places on the general classification. Let's take the stage to Périgord, for example. When Chris Froome, on quite a technical descent, followed Mikel Nieve on a tight corner, ended up going in between a couple of camper vans.
Oh, yes.
Now, after the race, Chris Froome accepted that was a racing incident, a bike handling error on his part. But nobody basically exploited it. I mean, it's not just about the opportunity for taking time, it's the opportunity to try and put the race leader under a great deal of pressure, because as we saw at the end of the stage, the last 200 metres he really did capitulate.
Yeah, that's a fair point, isn't it?
And also, Dan, and all of you watching, there's a real
about me?
inconsistency, and you as well, sorry,
Hey.
sorry. I think there's a real inconsistency in relation to the application of the rules. Now, I think they're skewed in favour of the maillot jaune, because nobody waited for Dan Martin after he crashed with Richie Porte on stage 9. On the very same stage, nobody waited, of course, for poor Rigoberto Urán, although he did it with revenge because he ultimately won the stage. I just wonder why it is. Is it out of fear? Is it out of respect? Or is it because the riders are worried that if the rulebook is torn up, they could be on the receiving end themselves?
They are causing a lot of trouble, these pesky
are.
unwritten rules this year, aren't they?
All right, well, as ever, we would love to hear your own thoughts on this very subject. So if you could leave your comments down below on what you think are the biggest mistakes of the Tour de France so far, we would very much appreciate it.
Steer clear of who the biggest losers are, because we obviously don't want to be involved.
No.
The Lotto Thuringen Women's Tour is the most important race on the women's calendar right now, and most of the big hitters are there. As we film this, local rider Lisa Brennau out of Canyon SRAM is currently in the leader's jersey, but there's also been some cracking results on individual stages. Lauren Stevens, any relation, Matt?
I doubt it. She won a stage, did she?
She did win a stage, yeah, good point. Lauren Stevens from Team Tivco actually put away 2 former world time trial champions to take the TT stage, and then Tiffany Cromwell, friend of the channel, also took a great victory on stage 1, the first road stage.
She certainly did. Now, one of the big riders that wasn't there was Marianne Vos. Now, she showed that she's in great form after coming back from injury by taking out the overall at the B Knee Tour. Whilst meanwhile, a rider a little bit close to home I think we need to give a big shout out to, that is none other than Annie Last, the sister of Tom Last, where she took out a round of the Women's Cross Country World Cup mountain bike, which was the first win for a British woman in 20 years. So
Yeah.
a massive shout out and congratulations
Huge,
from all
yeah.
of us here at GCN. Well done,
Absolutely.
Annie.
I love the fact that it's Annie Last's sister of Tom Last.
Yeah, I
that
picked up
was
on that.
quite fantastic.
I just played around with the genre.
Well, where do we start then with the Tour de France? Well, or France.
Yeah.
Well, we suggest that you start with our wrap-up video from the rest day 2 weeks into the race. I mean, that is really hotting up in France in more ways than one, isn't it? Plenty of discussion points, some of which we have discussed on that particular video.
Yeah, we've got team politics, haven't we? Will Mikel Landa actually do a Chris Froome circa 2012, go rogue, showcase his climbing talents at the expense of his team leader?
Yeah, that's actually a photograph of Mikel Landa trying to sort of like playfully hang his director sportif.
Tensions obviously running high.
Of Team Sky. And check this out, international politics at the Tour de France as well. Former US Secretary of State John Kerry actually delivered a team meeting to the Cannondale Drapac squad.
Well, the headlines now, though, do seem to be pretty much all about the racing itself, which is understandable given that it's one of the closest Tours de France that I can remember, if not the closest.
Yeah.
But whilst they're fighting it out for the yellow jersey, one thing has been decided this week already, and that is this week's
Wattage Bazooka!
I was going to say take it away, Matt, but you already have.
Oh, sorry,
this week's Wattage Bazooka winners.
Winners?
Yeah,
Winners
first
for the
time
first
ever.
time ever.
We've gone rogue. We're like Landa. We've been inspired by Landa's sort of general attitude to the Tour de France. We've gone rogue to award the winner this week to AG Tour or Agi Desart, the French squad, for just trying to tear the race to pieces.
Yeah.
Positive attitude. And the whole squad are riding extremely well. Bardet took a stage, but I just love the way they're setting about the race. Cat amongst the pigeons, spanner in the works, loving their style.
Well, there was one particular wattage bazooka, wasn't it, laid down by the whole team on stage 15,
In particular, yeah.
putting Team Sky under immense difficulty. That was great to watch.
It is good to watch as well.
Fair play, as you deserve Le Mondial.
The viewer Wattage Bazooka competition is really hotting up right now as well. But after much deliberation, we have decided to award it this week to Alec Novak, who Everested on the Ticknot climb in Ireland on a single speed. Thanks very much go to Colm O'Connor and Michael Hanley for nominating him. Yeah, that's the one.
You say single speed. Have you had a close look at that bike?
Whoa, what is that?
I've never seen anything like it in my
Oh,
life.
hang on a minute. It's quick releases
rear
on the
delay,
wrong
yeah?
side as well. Is that?
Yeah.
Is that a submission for Hack or
I
Watch?
think maybe we should take this Wattage Bazooka away from
Yeah.
him. It doesn't look right, does it?
Good effort. We just turned the quick release around. Surely that must be a mistake.
Yeah. Add some more cogs, derailleur, gears.
Yeah. Anyway, don't forget to keep nominating friends or foes or yourselves for Wattage Bazooka using the hashtag Wattage Bazooka on Instagram, Facebook or Twitter.
Friends or foes?
It's time now for Hack /bodge of the week. And we're going to kick off this
Sorry,
week.
I nearly missed that one. It's been so long since I've been sat here.
It wasn't the best side, but
No, it wasn't.
Just a bit
Forward
rusty.
slash,
We'll kick off with a video from Yannick Reed on Twitter. If you are strapped for cash or indeed space, why not make a bike trailer out of a wheelie
Why
bin?
not?
This is genius.
It's great, isn't it?
That is very good, actually.
I like
You
the
know,
umbrella as well.
They're ready for all conditions.
His
in that
daughter's having the
family.
weather of a time, isn't she?
Well,
Absolutely
some
fantastic.
rubbish is quite comfortable to sit on as well, isn't it? Like if you
course.
pack it properly, you know.
Use diapers.
Ooh. Moving swiftly on, we got this sent in by Tyler Guthrow. He said this came into the local bike shop that he works at.
Oh my goodness.
I know.
What is
It's taken us a
going on?
while to fathom actually what's going on. So fortunately, he's told us 1 aero bar set, 2 extra adjustable stems used as hand positions, 2 pairs of bar ends, 2 mirrors, 4 total pairs of grips. I almost wonder whether this is some bike shop mechanic having a bit of a laugh. at our
Yeah, do you think they're
expense.
trying to fool us?
Is this a fake
Pull
hack
the
or
wool
bodge?
over GCN's eyes?
Either that or that someone has gone utterly mad.
Well, either way, it's a bodge, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it is brilliant. Thank you very much for sending it in,
also-
even if it was your own hard work.
And next up we have this from Felix D4 over on Twitter, in fact. Hashtag GCN hack. Rather than your coins rattling around in your pocket, potentially scratching the screen of your mobile phone or your computer or anything, there they are, nice and neat.
Yeah.
That's,
I had not thought about that. That's blooming
and
good.
Recycling at the same time as well.
Absolutely,
Very
yeah.
professional, very neat indeed.
Very good.
Right, this next hack comes in from Sven Helgeson. Going on the road trip, the wife and 3 kids. Quids? We're talking about money still.
Kids, we are.
Needed to fit the bikes inside the car. Didn't have any stands, so we used an IKEA wine rack for the rear dropouts and whatever I could find for the front. How neat is that? It's kind of overlapped the bar
good.
slightly. It doesn't need padding in the centre because they're not going to rub up against each other. And
wanna
it's still
see
got
those-
plenty of room for luggage.
I want to see those rear dropouts. I can't work out how an IKEA wine rack has been made into that. Anyway, this next one, this technically is a motorised vehicle, so it shouldn't really be in GCN hack or bodge, but it is a bicycle that someone has stuck a petrol engine on and then gone to the trouble of actually registering with the UK, given that it's otherwise illegal. So there you go, a bicycle with a number plate on.
Is that basically a lawnmower engine stuck on the back of the rack there to power the
Tell
bike?
you what, I bet it does good wheelies. Look at all that weight
That
over
is
the
a
back
proper-
axle,
that is
yeah.
I think
proper
they've had to
UK number plate,
I think
that.
they've had
It
to
is, yeah.
counterbalance it.
Right, well, we're going to finish with Simon's Chainkeeper of the Week.
Ah.
And I have to say, even I am going to say that this is a bodge. Just take a look at that. It's just a piece of metal shoved between the dropouts.
No, mate, it's not even a piece of metal. That's a biro. Someone has stuck a biro between. Do you know what?
I've been fooled myself.
That sums up chain keepers to me. Just stick a biro there.
Yeah,
You
doesn't
might not
really
work
matter,
on
does it?
vertical dropouts, but you know, still.
Well, thanks
There we
to
go.
the Will for sending us that on Instagram. And if you'd like to send in your hacks or bodges, either your own or some that you've seen outside your university or on the street, you can do so on social media with the hashtag GCNHack.
Or even your enemies as well. It's time now for Caption of the Week.
Last week's photo being this one of Chris Froome cooling down after one of the Tour de France stages. The winner of this week's GCN Camelback water bottle is Mambo Dave. The sky's the limit with seat post height. Well done, Mambo. Get in touch with us on Facebook with your
That's
address.
a dad joke and a half hour,
We'll
isn't
get
it?
that
The
out to you as soon as
sky's the
possible.
limit. See what he did there.
Nice one. Anyway, this week's photo is another one from straight after a Tour de France stage. This time it's green jersey wearer Marcel Kittel straight after another stage victory. Matt's going to get you started.
Leave me alone, I've told you I don't want any water. But in a German accent.
Well, yeah, you can probably do better than that. Leave
Yeah.
your captions in the comment section down below and we'll pick a winner of said GCN water bottle this time next week. On the channel this week, as well as Ask GCN Anything and Maintenance Monday, we're also looking into clips versus flat pedals out on the open road, and we take a closer look at the Mavic neutral service bike. Plus, Si's been racing on Zwift again in Australian crit, so if you'd like to see how he got on, head over to the Zwift Community Live YouTube channel. It is time now for Extreme Corner, which this week...
Is it me again? Trouncing.
I know, no, but we did
not this
particularly
week, mate.
enjoy you
yeah,
showing GMBN how it's done in the dirt last
You
week.
did look
Si.
pretty good, mate.
No, this week it comes direct from the Tour de France rest day. This is the Astana rest day ride, and Fabio Aru pulling off quite a fantastic wheelie. See? Isn't that impressive?
No.
Really? great, was
Massively.
it?
No,
Right. No.
a bit short-lived for me.
Well, yeah, I guess he might have liked to have been able to carry it on for a bit longer. But what I was most impressed with was the fact that he managed to get it up with just one hand.
Oh, right.
Well, yeah,
I thought
that's
he'd be
not easy.
Off balance doing that. I mean, I've always had to use 2 hands to get it up.
Yeah.
Well, I can't get it up, no matter how hard I try, even with 2 hands. To be
No,
honest
you do
with
struggle with wheelies, don't you?
Yeah.
No. But anyway, let's move swiftly on, shall we?
Yeah. Yeah, if you'd like to subscribe to the channel, you can do so by clicking on the globe. If you'd like to purchase any GCN merchandise, including mugs, t-shirts as we're wearing, and plenty more, head over to shop.globalcyclingnetwork.com, a link to which you'll be able to find on the screen right now.
Now, if you want to have a little look at our Tour de France, the second rest day wrap-up, how about clicking just down here?
Yeah, or for a GMBN video, but don't worry, because there's GCN kit in there as well. It's where we trounced GMBN. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that one's just down there.
Where
Trounce.
was I?
Yeah, collectively, it's a team effort.
Like and share too.